You're listening to Dear Strategy, where we answer all of your questions on product and business strategy. And now, here's your host, Bob Caparelli.
Welcome to another episode of Dear Strategy, where we answer all of your questions about product and business strategy. Real questions from real people in real companies just like yours. Welcome back, strategy creators, to episode 91 of Dear Strategy. And we have a great question for you today with a lot of definitions and some clarifications that I think often confuse strategists and product managers inside of organizations. So really excited to get to that today. Before we do that, just a quick shout out for the company that sponsors this show, the company that I work for and founded, Strategy Generation Company. We offer strategy training and tools and inspiration and resources for companies large and small. Go visit us at strategygeneration.com to learn more, and we hope you'll take advantage of some of the resources and training and tools that we have to offer. So while you're doing that, or actually before you do that, let me go ahead and get to today's question and give you some knowledge to chew on. So the question is, Dear Strategy, how do I align my product strategy and product roadmap with my technology roadmap in the face of a strong engineering organization? So a couple of different parts to this question, two things that I really want to hit on. One, are these different types of roadmaps that are referenced here. And I will tell you, this is often a source of confusion. And so I definitely want to take the opportunity to answer the question, but also clear up this kind of hierarchy of different roadmaps that typically exist inside of an organization. The second thing is this idea that we have an engineering organization within a company that is strong, right? And kind of leading the charge on these roadmaps. In other words, the technology roadmap is leading the way, which is not necessarily the way that I would, actually prefer to see things, right? So we'll get into that as well. So let's take this first part, which is the definition of the different roadmaps. Now, this idea of roadmaps, obviously a roadmap is nothing more than a plan, right? So it usually has a timeline to it and so forth, but it's not terribly surprising, I would say, that people would confuse this idea of a roadmap with a strategy, because a strategy, as we've talked about many times in the show, is also a plan, but they're two very different things. The biggest difference is a strategy is a comprehensive plan with comprehensive analysis of your market, your industry, your company, a comprehensive set of goals and objectives, initiatives, and an action plan to achieve those goals and investments, and then some type of an investment roadmap as part of that strategic plan that outlines the specific investments that you plan to make in order to make your strategy come true. So your strategy is all of that, right? A roadmap is just a part of that, which is the specific timeline for doing certain things. And typically in relation to your product strategy, I would say the roadmap that you have as part of your strategy is your investment roadmap. So one of my pet peeves with strategy is when people have these goals, they have their initiatives, and they don't account for the fact that initiatives take money and resources to make happen. So you can't have a strategy or a good strategy without laying out what kind of investments you need to make and when you need to make them, so that you know that you get the resources and money that you need to achieve your goals. So as part of your strategy, you need this high-level investment roadmap. There's going to be different names for this in different companies and so forth, but it really is your strategic investment roadmap as part of your product strategy. And it is going to be high level. It is going to be estimates. It's only going to account for the big things because you're not trying to get very detailed. And it's going to change over time as you execute your strategy. But all of that is by design. Now, the reason that you have it, especially if it's not supposed to be terribly accurate, is because, especially in a product strategy, imagine that you're one product line of many inside of a large organization. Well, an organization needs to know what all of the strategies are going to cost collectively to make happen. And they need to either say, yes, we have that kind of money and we're going to invest in all of these things because we want to make them all come true, or they're going to prioritize, and more likely they're going to prioritize, right? And they're going to say, yeah, we'll invest in this, this, and this, but not in this, this, and this. And that's really important because when those decisions are made, that has to inform or re-inform the product strategies, right? So product managers need to take that information, go back to their product strategies and say, okay, if I'm going to get this investment and not this investment, I have to change my plan. And that either means that I have to change it, find a different way to get to the goal, or change the goal, right? Or convince the company that they should spend the money, which is probably the hardest route. But either way, there is this iteration that has to happen. And this happens on a fairly regular basis, right? So that's the purpose of the investment roadmap. You're not asking for the money directly. No one's writing you a check at the time that you put this together. It's really for the purpose of, your investors, in this case, your company or shareholders, saying yes or no to what it is that you're planning to do. Okay. So very high level, and usually a long-term look. Now, the second level to roadmaps is what's typically referred to as your product roadmap. And your product roadmap is a reflection of your strategy roadmap, but it covers more detail. It's more granular, right? So it's not just outlining the big investments. It's not just outlining the big estimates. It's outlining anything that you want to do to your product line to affect some change. So this is going to be any action that you want to take, whether or not it's going to cost money. Okay. And it's usually going to be a bit more accurate and maybe even a little shorter term than your strategy roadmap or your investment roadmap. Now, the investments that you have on your roadmap will more than likely be reflected on your product roadmap as well. But your product roadmap, again, takes a more accurate look, takes a shorter term look, and it adds to that any other actions you want to take on your product that aren't just the big investments. Okay. So this is kind of your living, breathing action plan for your product line. The third level of roadmap, believe it or not, is what's referred to as your technology roadmap. And your technology roadmap is typically reflective of only those investments that will be focused on product development or will require engineering or development resources. Okay. So again, it is the investments on your technology roadmap would typically be things that are reflected at some point on your investment roadmap. It would also be reflected on your product roadmap. But here, these are just the investments that are going to be made that are going to affect engineering. And the reason that the technology roadmap would exist is so that engineering resources can be aligned and planned for, especially for investments that are in the immediate term, maybe the next year or 2 years, right? So technology roadmaps, you can almost, look at them as the engineering translation of what you have on your product roadmap. So that's typically the three levels that exist. And as you can guess, with each cascading, hierarchy, as they go lower, the investment, and actions that are outlined on these roadmaps become more accurate. And sometimes the term becomes shortened as well. Now, I will tell you that these definitions are typically what I would recommend. It's not what every company embraces. So you're going to see these terms mixed up. Sometimes technology and product roadmap is one and the same. Sometimes investment and product roadmap are one and the same. The reason that I like to have these different levels is, again, because the investment roadmap, really high level for the purpose of portfolio management and prioritization. The product roadmap, granular look at what a product manager needs to do to affect their line. And the technology roadmap is a translation for engineering for them to align their resources. So they do have three separate purposes, even though they have a lot of overlap. Okay. Now, if you buy into that definition and that kind of a hierarchy, then here's the most important thing is that what drives each roadmap comes from the top, not the bottom. What I mean by that is if your investment roadmap is the highest level, that's the one that drives your product roadmap. Then your product roadmap drives your technology roadmap and not the other way around. Okay. In the case of this question, we say we have a strong engineering organization, so the technology roadmap seems to be driving the other ones. That's not the recommended route, because what that's basically saying is that engineering is driving your strategy. And I'm not saying that engineering shouldn't be involved in your strategy. They absolutely should. But what engineering wants to build or what engineering has the resources currently to build is definitely not going to make for a good plan, right? It's not going to make for a good strategy because you're limiting yourself based on your current capabilities, your current resources, and the current desires of the engineering organization. Definitely not what I would recommend. Instead, start at the high level. Put together that high investment roadmap. Get approval from your leaders so that, your organization knows what you're willing to invest in and what you're not. Translate that into a product roadmap that gets more granular about those investments and adds any other actions that you have. So now you have a product management resource plan, right, in your hands, and then let that translate into a technology roadmap, which is basically saying to the engineering organization, here are the things that we need to invest in to make our strategy come true. And then engineering needs to invest in those resources that they need, make sure that they're aligning their capabilities to that plan because it's already been bought into all the way up through your organization. So that's the hierarchy that you need to be following. If you don't have all three versions of the roadmap, you will almost definitely have at least two versions of the roadmap. So you'll have a strategy investment roadmap at a high level, and maybe that translates right down to a technology roadmap, depending on the kind of company or products that you have. So you'll have a minimum of two of these separate roadmaps, if not all three. But the key is the technology roadmap should not be driving your strategic roadmap. It definitely should be the other way around. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful. Of course, if you want to learn more about this topic, feel free to contact us at any time. You can get in touch with us through the website for this podcast, dearstrategy.net, or preferably for specific questions, go ahead and get in touch with us through Strategy Generation Company. You can go to strategygeneration.com, click on the contact link, and ask a question. And we'll be glad to help, have a conversation, have a phone call, and maybe that leads to some tools or workshops or other things that can help you more directly, because we can teach people how to develop all of these different types of roadmaps and a lot more as well. So hopefully that's helpful. And as you're pondering all of this great knowledge that we gave you in this episode, please don't forget to make time for the plan. And we'll see you back here on another episode of Dear Strategy. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for listening to Dear Strategy with Bob Caparelli. To learn more or to submit a question to be featured on our show, please visit us at dearstrategy.net.